Training and deployment in a weir. A look under the surface. Operations in weirs and ledges with hydraulics or recirculations are always associated with increased risk for the emergency services. The danger of being held beneath the water's surface due to strong downward currents is significant. In addition, the increased ratio of air to water reduces the buoyancy of boats and people. Water currents are not the only danger for emergency services. Unseen obstacles under the water's surface are also major hazards that are often greatly underestimated. Intensive realistic training to develop experience while applying safety precautions is essential. In this film, to help avoid accidents, we want to look beneath the surface. Diving in strong current. In order to gain an insight into the underwater world of a weir, we must have special diving skills and abilities. Diving in flowing waters with strong and turbulent currents is a very special challenge that has little in common with diving in still waters. The forces of the water are very high and have a strong effect on the diver. In addition, visibility is usually poor and orientation difficult due to the high air content in the water and water turbidity. In short, diving in turbulent currents is physically and above all, mentally exhausting. The diver must therefore keep their resistance to the current as low as possible. Buoyancy aids and backup regulators are generally not used. Additionally, when diving in strong water, even fins are more of a hindrance than a help. Rather, it is important to carry a lot of mass in the form of droppable lead. Depending on the diving assignment, up to 25 kilograms of diving lead can be strapped on. A helmet can protect against debris or contact with solid obstacles and is part of the basic equipment like a knife, metal cutters, and cable cutters. The mouthpiece is secured around the neck with a tight-fitting elastic band that can be released if necessary. When diving in the immediate vicinity of hydraulics, complex three-dimensional currents make it difficult to move safely underwater. The diver must always stay close to the bottom and if possible, move in the current shadow of stones, rocks or other obstacles. Mental strength, trust in your diving partners and unambiguous communication are absolute prerequisites for diving in weirs. In very poor visibility, the divers hold on to the person in front with one hand and communicate with finger pressure. In the area behind the weir face, the hydraulics is within reach and the full force of the water can be felt. The diver must at all costs avoid being caught by the steeply falling current and getting caught in the recirculation. In the film footage it is clearly visible how the water from the debris carries air with it and pushes it further into the depths. The same path is taken by a person who gets caught in the waist from the towback. They are swept uncontrollably downwards by the water forces and, depending on the amount of water discharged, may be pushed to the bottom. The rising water can carry the person back to the surface and the round trip in the recirculation starts all over again. Unfortunately, most weirs are in a poor structural condition due to the constant water forces acting on them. In addition, they will most likely be riddled with obstacles. Iron bars from the original reinforcement and large boulders are the most common. It's easy to imagine what can happen to a human body that is pressed against sharp iron bars by the water pressure. The safety rope of harnessed emergency workers can get stuck between rocks and trap a person underwater. The condition of a weir below the water level cannot be assessed from above. Even flow features visible on the surface give little indication of what is on the riverbed. Often old weirs are washed out and eroded. It's also possible that the falling water has eaten through the concrete foundation and formed caves under the main hydraulic. Human bodies can be pressed into these crevices and undercuts and become trapped. Diving under erosion in flowing water, especially near hydraulics, must be done very defensively. A diver can be trapped and held by the current in the undercut. If in doubt, do not continue with the dive. In weirs with greater water depths, many other obstacles and objects can be found. Large branches, rootstocks and even intact treetops just below the water surface are not uncommon and pose a great danger of entanglement for emergency workers. Especially in populated areas, all kinds of rubbish and equipment can accumulate that has been discarded in the river. The character of the river bottom can change considerably within a short period of time. A previously unobstructed riverbed can become blocked with driftwood that is not visible from above the very next day. Steel girders and old wooden piles are frequently invisible from above as well. These sharp objects are about a meter below the surface underneath a weir face. Shopping trolleys pushed into the river and bicycles are particularly treacherous obstacles. In rivers through settlement zones, they are often found in large numbers and unfortunately, due to their construction, offer various opportunities to get caught on them. Bicycles are also easily carried away by the current and thus wander along the bottom of the river. They can find themselves in completely different places after a short period of time, following fluctuations in the flow rates. Let's resurface and look at the consequences of the short look below the surface for training and use in safety systems. Lessons for practice. Knowing what dangers can lurk under the surface of the water, there is an important rule: never assume an upright body position. Additionally, you must never search for obstacles with your feet. Getting stuck can have fatal consequences. A timely rescue from such a situation is difficult to impossible in a water hydraulic. A swim rescue in the return flow of a water hydraulic should be avoided if possible. During training and deployment, the risks can be reduced by the following measures: have at least one experienced belay team. As a swimmer, keep a flat and horizontal position at all times. Remain at a sufficient distance from the drop. Always set the angle of the belay rope as far away from the fall as possible. As a belayer, do not allow slack rope. Avoid being pushed subsurface, always stay on the surface. This film has been realized by the Intercantonal Police Academy of Hitzkirch in Switzerland.